it's dicey, and there are a lot of people who are upset about it. I just can't believe that Virginia's going down the road it's taking. But that dovetails into what we're going to talk about next. Here, it's 8:35 on this Wednesday morning, the 25th day of August, 2021. I'm John Reid, and we are glad you're with us here on News Radio WRVA. So some of you probably saw on social media clips of a training video at James Madison University. And I like JMU. I've got friends who went to JMU. I spent some time on the campus doing a broadcasting thing or seminar years and years and years ago. I got nothing negative about JMU. And I feel bad because I come on the radio so often and I point out these problems with schools that I have a great deal of affection for, or have had a great deal of affection for, and yet they've got to own up to what they're doing. So this video really perpetuated some pretty awful concepts about white people being oppressors and heterosexual men being a dominant part of society, that their presence hurts other people. At least that's the way I take it. And apparently other people did too. So there's been some pushback at JMU, and the president of James Madison University has had to come out and do some cleanup here. State Senator Mark Obenshain joins us now this morning. You saw the video. What was your take on this situation, Senator Obenshain?
Yeah, John, good to be with you. And I love JMU too. I paid tuition for 4 years for a daughter there. I was on the board of visitors there. It's a great institution, and it's just sad to see it going down this woke, politically correct path. I did watch the video, and truly it's worse than the newspaper articles make it seem. It's not just if you are cisgendered, which I think people are finally figuring out what this woke term means. It's if you embrace your biological birth gender, that makes you cisgender. If you are a cisgender person, if you are particularly a cisgender male, if you are heterosexual Christian, then you are an oppressor. And it's not quite that simple, John, but you can't just look at the skin color. You can't just look at the gender. If somebody identifies as such, then they're an oppressor too, and it need to be treated as such. It's crazy, woke nonsense that JMU is forcing upon its student employees, or was, and it has suspended it, at least for the time being.
I'm trying to understand where this comes from. I'm looking at some of the stories, and I didn't know that JMU would spend money to have an assistant director for sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. And, quite frankly, Senator, as a gay man who struggled with this issue and felt like the world was coming to an end in my late teens, early 20s, I think I'm pretty sensitive to what people go through if they're dealing with these issues. And I don't want to be a jerk about it, but why does the person who checks your ID at the gymnasium, or the person who is staffing the cafeteria, why do they need to be indoctrinated into this concept? Oh, here comes a white guy who looks like a frat boy. So I've got, what is the end goal here? It's one thing to make people sensitive to other people's feelings. I think that's a nice thing to do in a civilized society. But it's another to empower them to label people with negative labels. And it seems like it's the exact opposite of what we were trying to do a decade ago.
You're entirely right. I mean, it is critical race theory on steroids. We're telling these student employees that other students ought to be judged by the color of their skin, their gender, their religious beliefs, their gender identity or sexual preference, instead of, as Martin Luther King said, the content of their character, their efforts, their individual achievement. It's insulting, it's divisive, and it's offensive.
What's the next step, since the president of JMU has come out and tried to, it appears, tried to clean this up a little bit? Is this just the tip of the iceberg, or is this a situation that we discovered, it's fixed, and we can move on?
Well, it's not fixed. The statement by the vice president at JMU and the president, if you read them, they're nice folks, but they are vacuous statements that suggest that these are all serious policy issues that we need to continue to confront, and that we're going to hit pause on this training, which to me indicates that once this present storm blows over, we're just going to hit the play button again. And, I'm not so naive as to believe this is only taking place at JMU. JMU is the one that garnered the public attention. Somebody apparently disregarded the instructions that they were given during the training not to share any of these materials with anyone, and shared them, and somebody had the poor judgment to place them on YouTube, which has now been removed. But this is part of the culture war, and JMU and probably other colleges are unfortunately becoming active combatants in the culture war. They're teaching students what to think rather than how to think, and we just need some correction in the way that our colleges and universities are operating and get them back on track.
That's a really interesting aspect of this, that this was supposed to be kept secret or on the down low. I mean, that should send off alarms all over the place. I mean, whenever you're, none of these public presentations at a school like this should be the kind of thing where you're telling the students or telling the employees you're not allowed to share what we've taught you today. And that really stinks to high heaven.
It does. We're telling you the hard truth, but the public at large isn't ready for it. I mean, that's just, that also is insulting.
So as a Republican legislator, is there anything that you and other thoughtful legislators can do to help guide this? Or are you...
Well, look, I'm not sure that every problem is susceptible to a legislative solution. I think you and I are doing one of the important things that needs to be done to address this and drawing public attention to it. I think people across Virginia are sick and tired of this kind of crazy nonsense, and the more sunshine that is shown on it, the more pressure is going to be brought to bear, not just on JMU, but other colleges and universities to correct their course.
Listen, I appreciate you keeping a spotlight on it and talking to us about it, and I'm going to do my research to try to, elevate these issues, especially as students go back to school this fall. That's when a lot of this indoctrination begins to happen, and I think it will reveal itself, and we need to know about it and call it out when it crosses the line and does harm to people. State Senator Mark Obenshain, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.